Welcome to Game On Wisconsin's Mega Show.
To Cook, Cousins bootlegs right, chased by Dean Lowry. Lofts it right corner of the end zone. Leaping interception. Kevin King's got it. Green Bay football.
Rodgers looks the other way. And it's Jamal Williams. He's headed to the end zone. And he's in with a Packer touchdown.
Prescott tripped up and brought down. And there's Zadarius Smith again.
Broncos jump. Free play for Rodgers. He knows where to go with it. For Valdez-Scantling. In the end zone. It's a Packer touchdown.
Lost, the Vikings would be the number 6. Jones. Look at that balance. Aaron Jones. See ya.
Man, doesn't that intro just make you want to run through a wall?
Dude, it does.
I can't even speak. I'm so excited for football right now.
But I saw the Z stat got me. I love Aaron Jones getting on big runs because it's not what his game is predicated on is those big play runs, but he's like when he does, it's something special to watch. It's fun.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us. We're not here to talk about Packers football specifically, even though there will be some Packers stuff infused into the show. We are here to talk about your fantasy sit, start, and lineup questions. So my name is Tyler Grezagoric, at Tyler Grez on Twitter. And I am joined by Gage, as you already heard him talk about Aaron Jones. So speaking of Aaron Jones, let's kind of jump into some of our, topics for the week here. Let's just go over running backs real quick because I think running backs are super interesting this week. When we start looking at our top 12 running backs, I actually have Aaron Jones, I think, number 2, and I think you did too.
I don't know if I have him 2. I'm pulling up mine now just to be sure. I know I have him pretty highly ranked for the week, though. Let me pull up real quick. Aaron Jones is – I think I have him number 2 for the week, so – I really like Aaron Jones. I really like his matchup. I think that Green Bay could get a big lead up on Detroit today, and I think that that's where they could really lean on his talent and skill, and that's where I just think from volume perspective, he's got a chance for a big week. Yeah, I do have him too.
Yeah, and on the other side of the ball, Adrian Peterson, DeAndre Swift. I actually like DeAndre Swift a lot as a deep play this week. So, but. This show is about your lineup questions, so please post all of your questions inside of the chat, and we will answer them as they come in. Last week, we had a really great engagement from the group in the chat. It was a lot of fun. Took up the entire show. Hopefully, we do have topics in place, but hopefully we never get to them. That's honestly the plan here. So if you have questions, start throwing them up in the chat, and we'll start taking them and discussing them. But let's move on to let's start with the Browns Bengals from Thursday. What were some of your takeaways from that game that you think we can kind of hang our hats on moving forward?
Nick Chubb is # good at football, and anybody that doubted that after week 1, you're stupid. So but Nick Chubb was great. In week 2, he was everything you expected him to be. Kareem Hunt still got some receiving work and got into the end zone. But Nick Chubb's the guy. You drafted Nick Chubb to be a top 12 running back, and that's exactly what he was in week 1 or in week 2. So if you didn't panic and you held him because you're good at this whole fantasy thing, then you were rewarded. I love that OBJ showed off some big playability. He got involved early on, which was great because I know you and I were doing the Game On podcast Thursday during the game, and we were both excited when he did well. So. It was good to see him get involved. And then there was Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd got a lot of volume that night, which is great.
Should have had a touchdown too.
Yeah, you win some, you lose some. But I was just glad to see him get volume because in week 1, he didn't get a ton of targets. AJ Green is struggling. He's
getting open though.
Yeah, he's getting open, but he's not catching any balls.
I think it's going to come with time. I think he's just rusty. It's obviously been a long time since he's played regular football.
I mean, do you think that that's a connection with Burrow that's a problem, or do you think that it's
no? I just think it's overall rust. And maybe partly Burrow, but not that much really. No.
He's got 22 targets and he's caught 8 balls. That's not exactly great from this guy that is supposed to be he's been one of the most consistent receivers when he's on the field of the last decade.
Right. I I think it's time to start taking some questions. I do want to talk about that Bengals game more, though, because I think that there was a lot that came out of there, including Burrow being a viable fantasy quarterback probably for the rest of the season, I think, as he continues to grow. So, but let's get to our first question. So it comes from Vincent Osborne. Start 2, Akers, Fant, Ayuk, or Harry?
Man, okay. Well, so the only reason I don't want to start Akers is because he was still the RB2 last week. And he wasn't hyper efficient with his touches either. Like Malcolm Brown was the lead guy there. Malcolm Brown got the red zone work. I think
we need to know the format here. That's my question.
I'm going to play that it's half PPR or full PPR. And if if it's standard, go ahead, Vincent, in the chat and say so. But if it's half PPR or PPR, I go with this Fant, and I'm going to start. And I'm going to go with N'Keal Harry. Brandon Ayuk, I just don't know what's going to happen there. Jimmy G looked rough last week, and he got bailed out by 2 big plays. Like, if I did the math the other day, if you take out his 2 big plays, he had like 130 passing yards or something dumb. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to ignore Ayuk and Akers this week. Fant, I'm going to hope that he gets featured by Drew Lock. Drew Lock and him showed a connection last week. Yep, as Vincent said, half PPR. And then Harry, I'm going to hope that Cam Newton is able to connect with him a couple times this week. He struggled a little bit early in his career, but I think that the talent is there and he can be better for you moving forward. What do you think, Tyler?
I'm playing Harry in a couple places this week. In a half PPR, I think it's Fant as well, although I don't love his matchup against Pittsburgh, Devin Bush and company in that linebacker group. So I'm looking at N'Keal Harry, and I don't know if Cam Akers has a strong enough hold on touches yet. Because of the production from last week. I think Malcolm Brown is still the RB to beat in Los Angeles. So I'm also going to go Noah Fant and N'Keal Harry if I had to pick 2 of them, even in the half-point PPR format. Standard doesn't change anything for me either, I don't think, because Akers' chance and Ayuk's chance of getting a touchdown are just as high as Harry's or Fant's. Let's see here. Let's go on to Adam Bradshaw's first question. I'm sorry. We're fighting over the thing here.
There we go. All right.
So Adam Bradshaw's question is rank the 4 for starting in flex. I think this was a half-point PPR question as well.
It is, yep.
Yes. So Lazard, Beasley, Cephas, and Gage. I think I'm going to go Lazard, Cephas, Gage, Beasley here.
That's what I was going to go with as well. I think Lazard is he's the wide receiver 2 for Green Bay against a soft Detroit defense. Cephas got 10 targets last week. I expect him to get a heavy workload again today. Russell Gage against Dallas, which is Dallas's soft secondary. I think that he can get a lot of work there. And then Cole Beasley is that's your 4th guy. Like, if you're ranking them in that order, Lazard, Cephas, Gage, Beasley. Beasley, you're just basically hoping for a touchdown.
Right. I mean, I think there's some value there in full point PPRs because I think he can get some slot work. He's going to get maybe 5-6 catches, but I'm not banking on that. I think you're hoping he falls in the end zone. So it's Lazard, Cephas, Gage, Beasley for me. All right, moving on. You can take Vincent's next question. Herndon, Gesicki, or Logan Thomas. Was there a format later for this one? All the questions are half PPR.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, for me, this one's kind of easy. I'm going Logan Thomas. Chris Herndon's interesting, but it's against San Francisco, and I think that the pass rush will affect Donald a lot. I'm not saying he's going to see ghosts again, but it's very possible. So I'm going to go Logan Thomas. He had a 25% target share last week. He's playing against Arizona, which was the worst team against tight ends in fantasy last season. So that's who I'm going to go with today is Logan Thomas there. If you're going to go a second one, Herndon, and then Gesicki last just against Buffalo's tough matchup.
Yeah, even though I'm not for the Logan Thomas breakout campaign this year, it's probably Logan Thomas for me this week as well. I think that Washington's actually going to be able to put up some points against that Cardinals defense, and I think it's going to be a really fun game to watch. So I'm going to go Logan Thomas with Herndon and Gesicki to follow as well. All right, moving on, though. We can take Vincent's next question. So start 1 of Justin Jefferson, Benny Snell, Cam Akers, or James Washington.
All right.
Another Cam Akers share, though.
Well,
just point that out.
I mean, I know what my answer is, and based on a topic that we might get to a little later on, I think that you guys both know. So, Tyler, which one are you going with? I just want to hear what you got to say first.
Well, half-point PPR, I'm probably going Jefferson.
Okay, that's who I was going with as well. Snell is splitting carries. He looked much better than Connor last week, but I think he's still going to split the shares this week. Akers, we already talked about a little bit earlier, and then James Washington. James Washington is like good, but I think he's the fourth best receiver in Pittsburgh behind Chase Claypool, even though Chase Claypool's a tight end, but even behind Chase Claypool, Deontay Johnson, and Juju. So I'm going to go Jefferson this week. He lives in the area where Indy likes to give up, which is those underneath routes. So that's what I'm going with for this week.
So I got a question for you, though. Benny Snell or James Conner long term?
Benny Snell or James Conner long term?
Mm-hmm.
I guess Benny Snell. I'm not like I don't have any like Connor is already injured. He's already dealing with an injury. We're 1 week into the season. He hasn't shown any ability to stay healthy, so I have no reason to have any confidence in him staying healthy. So it's Benny Snell, but if I can get out of the Pittsburgh running back market until they get a consistent guy besides Anthony McFarland, so I don't want any shares of any of them.
I am waiting for the Anthony McFarland breakout because that's going to be a great day.
It's going to happen.
So let's take Paul Alexander's question here. In the flex, are you playing Frank Gore or Mark Ingram? I think I know your answer on this one, but I'll let you go.
That's tough. I'm going Mark Ingram, and I'm hoping for a positive game script. I'm hoping that Baltimore gets up and then they lean on Ingram to run the ball a lot. I have to start Frank Gore in a couple of places, so I know the pain. I get it. I have Le'Veon Bell shares, and I went and got Frank Gore. So Ingram's my choice here. I think I have him ranked as a top 20-something running back this week. So that's who I'm going with, and I'm just hoping that last week was a fluke week.
I mean, you know my feelings that Houston Texans offense. I feel like the game is going to get out of control pretty quickly, and I think that the Ravens are going to get into let's just run out the clock mode, which is not going to be J.K. Dobbins. Maybe it is, but game script would suggest that Mark Ingram's going to be the guy today. So I'm also going to go Mark Ingram there. All right. Who is our next question here? Yes, we have a lot of questions to get through, so this is good. Keep them coming. So Alan Lazard or Preston Williams in the flex for a half-point PPR. Thank you for the efficient labeling of your league format.
Thank you, Anton. All right. For me, it's pretty easy. Alan Lazard. Alan Lazard's got a better quarterback. He's got a better matchup. It just makes a ton of sense to go with him this week. He showed last week that Rodgers is going to look to him after he looks to Devontae, which is rare, but that's who it's going to be. So Lazard pretty easily for me.
Yeah, we talked about Devontae Adams on the Game On Fantasy podcast on Friday and how he's going to demand so much attention that these other two wide receivers, Marquez Valdes-Scantling and Alan Lazard, they should be able to put up good numbers this week. And if they can't, then maybe we do have a problem with the wide receiver room in Green Bay. But at the same time, Alan Lazard, I think, is the play over MVS, but I also think MVS is a fine play in deeper formats for a boom or bust option. All right, let's take Anton's next question then. Start 2.5 PPR. Lockett, Marquise Brown, Deontay Johnson, or Slayton? With this question, I'm going Lockett and Marquise Brown. I do think that Marquise Brown is going to have an opportunity to make a lot of big plays against Houston today, and Tyler Lockett is still Russell Wilson's favorite receiver.
That's who I was going to go with as well. I have Lockett, I'm pretty sure, as a top 12 guy this week. I love Lockett every single week. Him and Wilson have been nearly perfect over the last 2 seasons in a week. Like, they were perfect last week. This is a difficult matchup for with New England, but I'm going Lockett. And then Hollywood, 6 for 101 last week. I think he's got big playability. We all know that. It only takes one play for him to have a good day. I have him in some DFS lineups this week just because it only takes him one play to have a good week. So, yeah, Lockett and Hollywood. Deontay, I got to say, Anton, I really like your wide receiver core there. Deontay Johnson and Darius Slayton as your third and fourth guys. You could be doing a lot worse, that's for sure.
All right, so let's take Antoine's third question then. Just kind of keep going down the list then. Half-point PPR, Goddard or Higbee? I'm going Goddard.
Yep, going Goddard as well. Higbee last week didn't get as much work as everyone was hoping, and the main reason for that is Gerald Everett's present, Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods. Everybody's got to get their work share. Higbee's got a good matchup this week because Philly's safety room is depleted with Malcolm Jenkins now gone. Dallas Goedert against the Rams safeties. John Johnson's good, but I like Goddard a lot, especially with Alshon Jeffrey still dealing with injury. Jalen Reagor not fully integrated in the offense yet. Deshaun Jackson's got a really niche role as well.
Does the return of Miles Sanders change that opinion at all for you?
Nope, Dallas Goedert. I'm pretty sure I have Goddard as a top 10 play this week.
Yeah, I think Ertz is number 4, and I think Goddard was like number 9 for me or something like that. It's pretty crazy, actually, the fact that the Eagles can just support two top 10 tight ends.
I have Goddard 10 and Ertz 7, so yeah.
Okay, so let's move on. Next question from Kyle Hoffenbecker. Chris Carson, David Montgomery, or Marvin Jones, half-point PPR. Chris Carson, Marvin Jones, Montgomery in that order for me.
Yeah, Chris Carson's top here. I actually just got a question on Twitter from somebody asking if like Chris Carson and Marvin Jones were 2 of the pieces. The third one was T.Y. Hilton. Yeah, I would go Chris Carson 1. Anytime I can start a RB1 or like a starting running back in my flex spot, that just means I got a good roster. So I love starting Carson this week. I think that they can spread the field enough with their receivers to give him some room to work underneath. Donta Hightower being gone makes life a lot easier. So that Marvin Jones I think he's going to have a big day because he always does against Green Bay. And then David Montgomery, I like David Montgomery this week. I just, those other 2 guys I like better.
Agreed. And some big news for all of you checking your lineups. Courtland Sutton will play today. So he'll play through the injury, but he will be playing. So adjust your lineups accordingly.
Let's go.
All right. So we have a returner from last week, Jamie, no last name. Thank you for returning. She asked, what is the news on Devontae Parker? I have MVS in the flex. I do not have Lazard as an option. So I guess the question here is, are we waiting for Devontae Parker's news to come out as to whether or not he's playing today and to what status of health he is in, or are we playing MVS in the flex?
I'm pretty sure those are both 1:00 games, right?
Should be. Let me check our little schedule here.
I'm pretty sure. Yep. Bills, Dolphins, 1:00. Packers, Lions, 1:00. So here's the thing. I have Parker ranked higher just because I expect him to get more volume. But I can also see starting MVS this week just because he's got big playability. He's got a much easier matchup. Rodgers showed trust in him last week, which is a big thing for me. We all know, like, for those of us that are Packer fans, we know how big trust is with Rodgers. And if he trusts you, he's going to throw you the ball. MVS had 2 bad drops last week, 2 bad drops that would have resulted in either big plays or touchdowns in both situations. And Rodgers went back to him, and he made up for it. He caught another big ball for a touchdown. So MVS, I think, is a safer play this week in terms of like what he can give you from a ceiling perspective. But Parker is who I have ranked higher. So I don't like to be, for a lack of a better term, like a slave to the rankings. I like to go with kind of a gut idea. So I like MVS a lot this week. And Parker's going to be matched up with Trey White, who's best corner in the NFL. So if you're playing MVS over Parker, I don't think it's a bad decision this week.
I think you do go Parker as well. Obviously, unless it comes out that he's not playing today, you could be comfortable playing MVS and feel okay that you're going to get some points from him. But I do think it's Parker until otherwise stated. So let's take Antone's last question then. Start 2, Rojo, Carson, Mostert, J.K. Dobbins. I think for me here, I think I'm going Rojo and Carson. So I really like Ronald Jones this week. I think that Panthers Bucs game is going to get out of hand. There's going to be a lot of points. So speaking of that, I'm taking the over the 47. I think that we finally get some points from Tom Brady, and they really kind of just take over the game, and Carolina's forced to play catch up. And so either way, I kind of like Ronald Jones in both game scripts. I mean, I don't know if Leonard Fournette simply was just not ready for the offense, but it seemed like they were going to give Rojo the ball until they could not give it to him anymore. So they brought Leonard Fournette in to spell him, but really it was Ronald Jones, and then way down the food chain was Leonard Fournette. And we already talked about Chris Carson. I think Mostert's a very close play here. That good Jets run defense for New York, but at the same time, I like Carson's upside better.
For me, it's Carson and Mostert, actually. So we're both locked in on Carson this week, but it's Mostert over Rojo for me because Mostert is the lead back in San Francisco. San Francisco is the second best running team in the NFL. I'm going based off of last year because week one's a fluke. You can't go just rely on week one. Mostert shows talent. He's quick. He showed some work in the receiving game last week. That's my guy. That's who I'm going with. J.K. Dobbins I like as a more long-term play late in the season. I think he could have a big role. And then Rojo, I like Rojo this week. I think I have him like 26, 27, somewhere in that range. But I have to go with a guy that I know is going to get work, and I know that Mostert is going to get work this week. Rojo could get game scripted out somehow. Maybe LaShawn McCoy could end up on the field way more than he should. Not saying he's going to or he should end up on the field. I'm just saying that Bruce Arians will play whoever. And if it could be a Fournette big game. It could. Like Fournette could have a big game because like they get up early and then they just run the clock with Fournette. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm just saying it's a possibility. So it's
Right.
Carson and Mostert for me.
So I like Dobbins as a long-term play as well, and I don't think he's a bad play this week. That over/under on this Ravens-Texans game is kind of crazy, but at the same time, it's two high-flying offenses going at it. But I think you're hoping for J.K. Dobbins to kind of fall in the end zone like he did last week. Otherwise, I like the other guys because they're going to get more organic work and not rely on the touchdowns for production. All right, so we have, let's see here. Oh, not really a question. Just wanted to confirm that Sutton should be started. Yes. So even if Sutton is playing, I'm playing him over Judy this week.
Where was that?
It was one of our last questions. She was just talking about Sutton and Judy.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So basically, I'm playing Sutton if he's playing, and then I'll worry about Judy if there is no Sutton, but he is playing. So let's move on. Then we have some topics to go through here.
Actually, wait. I want to talk about one topic that was in the chat real quick. This is from Austin Quick here. He can't spell, but it's okay. Harry was a fumble away from being a breakout player last week. Gotta love narratives and how one single thing can make or break people's minds on players. So, me personally, I haven't seen anything from Harry yet. I understand he's dealt with injuries. He was not never fully integrated in the offense last year with Tom Brady. So I kind of get the idea that maybe it's a narrative on him. Harry was a fumble away. Like he fumbled at the goal line and it went out of bounds, so it was a touchback. If he gets that, his week looks a lot better. Obviously, we know touchdowns look a lot better. That's why you don't chase touchdowns, you chase volume. So what do you think? Do you think that Harry was just like a touchdown away from us all being like, oh, he's exactly what we thought he was last year when people were drafting him to be their like rookie wide receiver one?
How many targets did he have last week? He had like 6 or 7 targets, right? Something like that. I think he caught like 5 out of like 6 or 7 targets for like 40 yards. So you throw a touchdown on top of that, you're looking at a 12, 13-point week. He's a wide receiver 2 on the week. And we're talking about N'Keal Harry as a much more viable option going into this game. And I really do believe that this could be the week where we say, okay, N'Keal Harry is for real. N'Keal Harry is going to be a viable fantasy option this year with Cam Newton, because I do think that they have a good connection. Cam Newton and N'Keal Harry. It looks like Cam Newton kind of views him as a little brother type thing. And so I believe in the player, and I believe the situation is finally coming to fruition, and it's finally going to be the N'Keal Harry show in New England.
Yeah, he caught 5 for 6 for 39 yards last week, and he had a fumble. So he was at 8, then went down to 6. If he gets the touchdown, doesn't fumble, he finishes with like 14 or so. So wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 value. So yeah, so Austin, you're right. The narrative is like, if he gets that touchdown, we probably changed our minds. But at the end of the day, I have to go based off of the information I have. There's this whole big idea. Oh, he could be this, he could be that. Mm-hmm. He's not been that yet. He has not given me any reason to say
he's all projection.
He's be good. Yes. He's not giving me a reason to think otherwise. Let's see. Let's throw up Vincent's question here because Vincent had another one. Vincent, thanks for all the questions this week. Start 2, half PPR. Rojo, Harry, Reagor, Gaskin, Judy, Devontae Parker. We've talked about a few of the guys here, and there is plenty to choose from. So, Tyler, who are you going with here? Because I'm not sure yet.
Probably Rojo and Parker. Out of this group, I mean, Gaskin, I think that's a flash in the pan. I like the player coming out of Washington, but he's a very limited athlete. If they're going to give him carries, that's great, but I just don't believe in him long term. Judy, I don't like him as much with Sutton playing. Reagor, he had 1 catch for 55 yards last week. That's it. And that
he had 3 other targets. He had 4 targets on the day.
Until he can start getting more consistent volume of targets and more consistent production on those targets, I'm kind of look the other way because I'm not going to rely on one catch for 55 yards and a touchdown to bail me out every week. And then N'Keal Harry, I probably think is the third option here. So it probably goes Rojo, Parker, Harry, Judy, Rager, Gaskin.
See, for me, yeah, it's probably Rojo and Parker as well. And then Judy, Harry, Rager, Gaskin. I think Judy showed me last week he's going to get a ton of volume. I understand that Cortland Sutton was out, but Judy's a talented player. He was my wide receiver 1 this year over CeeDee Lamb. I know that might be controversial to some people. I love his route running. His footwork's great. He put on the brakes last week at one point and made a defender flat out fall down. It was great to watch. So I have Judy as my wide receiver as my third in this group, followed by N'Keal Harry, and then Rager, Gaskin. Gaskin, I agree with you. I think he was a flash in the pan. Just couldn't do much last week. I don't expect him to do any better this week against Buffalo, even though Buffalo is without their two of their starting linebackers, Matt Milano and Tremaine Edmonds.
Yeah, so I think we both had Buffalo ranked as our number 1 defense, but that was before those injuries kind of came out. So I think there's going to be some opportunities for these Miami offensive players to make some plays this week. All right, we did get another question. So full PPR, Cortland Sutton or Deontay Johnson. Again, if Sutton is playing, you're playing him. That's how I look at this. The Broncos defense, while it does not have Von Miller any longer and is kind of beat up overall, I still like the Broncos defense. As a whole, I think they're pretty good, but I'm still going Cortland Sutton here because I don't trust Deontay at this point. After last week, I'm not sure what to do with Deontay.
I agree. I'm going Cortland Sutton as well. If he's playing, you're playing him. He's Drew Lock's wide receiver 1, far and away. This is a good Pittsburgh defense, and I think that you're going to see a couple Drew Lock just like prayer balls up to Cortland Sutton. He's going to come down with those a lot because he's a big, good athlete. So I agree with you on Sutton here.
Completely agree. All right. Let's get into your DFS plays of the day. This is all you. Unfortunately, I live in Arizona, and I can't really get the appropriate prices I need to make these decisions, but this is all you, Gage.
So for me, again, this is all DK stuff, no FanDuel. Just FanDuel won't verify me for whatever reason. So I pay up. I don't generally like to pay up a quarterback. I generally like to pay down. I got Matt Ryan's my pay up quarterback of the week. I think he put up 450 passing yards last week. I don't think he goes for 450 again this week, but if he hit 400, I would not be stunned at all. Spend down with Trubisky. Weakness for the Giants is their secondary. And he allows you to get really cheap at that quarterback position. And that's a really big thing because it allows you to stack your lineup with more running backs and wide receivers. And then moving on to running back, Derrick Henry at only 7,900. I know that's a lot of money. It's a lot to go to one guy, but that's your guy. AJ Brown's out. Derrick Henry's going to get work. I think what Tennessee is going to do is they're going to get out front, boat race him, and just lean on Henry. He had 31 carries last week. I see that again. Jonathan Taylor, 5,700. That's a steal. He's going to be the team's leading running back. He is going to be a really chalky play. So I recommend, if you can get him and Derrick Henry as your running backs in cash game or 50-50, I really like that. Discounted running back, James Robinson, 4,400. You're getting a starting running back for $4,400. That's money. Mike Evans, 6,400. Godwin out all day long. If you want to spend down, you don't want to spend up for Godwin, go with Scotty Miller. Scotty Miller got volume last week with Godwin in the lineup. Godwin out, he's going to get touches all day. Also, Corey Davis is another chalk play. He's only $4,000. $4,000 for the week, and you're getting the guy that was the wide receiver 1 for the team last week. He's going to be the wide receiver 1 again this week. He's got a decent matchup too, because Jacksonville's not that good on defense. CJ Henderson showed some flashes, but I'm not really in love with him. Jordan Reed at 2,600 is monstrous value. If you're trying to build a lineup where you're trying to sneak a tight end in there, you want to really spend up at wide receiver and running back or quarterback. Jordan Reed at 2,600 is just you got to go for it. And then Mark Andrews. I also like getting Mark Andrews this week just because he got touchdowns last week. And Lamar always looks for him. He's $6,300, which is a little pricey. I generally like to spend down at tight end, but if you feel like getting a little crazy and spending up at tight end, he's a good option. So that's my DFS plays of the week. Again, it's all DraftKings, no FanDuel. Let's go out. Let's try and win some money. I know I have a bunch of lineups going this morning, and I will be working on more as the day goes on.
All right. That I wish I could get more involved in DFS because honestly, it's so much fun. And maybe I'll try to find a way to finagle around the system so I can actually start playing. But all right, let's move on. We do have another question from Jamie, no last name. Keep them coming. Don't worry about having your questions. That's what we're here for. We love to answer them. So Chiefs or Seahawks D? I think I'm going with the Chiefs here. I just have a feeling that Josh McDaniels is going to get Cam Newton and opportunities to get this offense to score. So I'm going to go with the Chiefs because I just like their matchup much better against a Tyrod Taylor-led Chargers offense, which is last week, if last week is any indication, is going to be struggling to put up points all year.
Yeah, it's Chiefs for me as well. I've gotten this question about the Chiefs defense a few times this morning. I love their matchup today. I think that Tyrod Taylor doesn't push the ball down the field enough. I think that their defensive line can take advantage of the Chargers front. I think that they're really aggressive. They make plays because this is like that Green Bay defense from like the early 2010s where it was opportunistic, take risks, get the ball back for your offense. That's what this Chiefs defense is all about. Is they try and take big plays. They try and go after the quarterback, try and make turnovers happen and get the ball back to Mahomes in this offense. So Chiefs for me. The Seahawks defense, I agree that I think that Newton's going to make some plays. I don't think he's going to make as many as I think you do. But I think I'm definitely in Chiefs here, hoping for a turnover or two from them, maybe some sack work as well.
Yeah, the reason I think Cam Newton's going to make plays is more Josh McDaniels. I have faith in him to put his players in creative spots to make plays, and that's honestly, Cam Newton's the ultimate creative tool in that way. So it's going to be a lot of fun to watch this Patriots offense evolve as the year goes on because I do think N'Keal Harry can take a big step forward this year as well. So let's move on to our next topic, though. Let's see here. Biggest surprises of the day. So why don't we go with yours first?
I got Jared Goff as a top 5 QB this week. I think Jared Goff is going to throw the ball a lot. Here's the thing about this Eagles defense. They are built in the front line, and then they had Darius Slay over in the corner, and that's it. That is all they have. If you named one of their starting linebackers, I would be stunned unless you were an Eagles fan because then it doesn't count. Jared Goff is going to throw the ball a lot this week. I have Brown ranked low as a result of how good this Eagles front is and how this Rams offensive line looked good this week, but I don't think they're going to look – or they look good in week 1. I don't think they're going to look as good against a much better Eagles front. So I think Jared Goff finishes a top 5 QB this week. I think that he got his touchdowns vultured by Malcolm Brown last week. I don't think that happens again. Cooper Kupp, I think, gets in the end zone. I think Robert Woods gets in there. Maybe even a Gerald Everett touchdown too. I think that they're able to move the ball a lot, and Jared Goff finishes top 5. I'm pretty sure I have him officially ranked as a top 5 quarterback for the week too. So no, okay, I don't. I have him 11th, but if he finished I have him 11th, but there's a lot of good players this week. So, but I think that the surprise moving now is Jared Goff.
Fair enough. So we go to my surprise. I think that the Bears and Giants are going to crush. It's over under. I think it's currently set around 42, depending on where you look. And with that being said, I think there's going to be tons of fantasy relevant pieces. I like Sterling Shepard. I like Darius Slayton. Kind of depends on where Kyle Fuller is going, where he's covering, we'll say. I don't believe he's going to travel with anybody, but Saquon Barkley could have a good day today. I don't necessarily love Daniel Jones, but if I'm going to like this game, I do have to like Daniel Jones. I think he can do enough to keep this Giants offense going. The Steelers defense is much better than what the Bears are putting out there, and they were able to move the ball a little bit against them. So I'm taking the way over on Bears Giants. I think they can push plus 50 in this game, and I just believe that you're going to have a ton of usable pieces. I love Anthony Miller. Allen Robinson is super high on my list this week. You already mentioned Mr. Trubisky. So I'm not touching tight end unless I have to. I did have to pick up Jimmy Graham and play him in one league. Actually, I had to play him against you, Gage. So
Jimmy Graham's a good option this week. I like Jimmy Graham this week. He had a lot of targets last week. He just had a couple that he jumped a little early. If he times his jumps better last week, his week looks much better. He had one that if he caught it, he had a probably 20-yard gain, and he had one that if he caught it, he falls into the end zone for a touchdown.
You just described his entire tenure in Green Bay. So
yeah, but he actually looked good last week. He never looked good in Green Bay.
So the point is, I think there's a lot of usable pieces on these Bears and Giants offenses. So take the over and play your Bears and Giants. All right, let's move on to duds. My dud of the week is going to be Deshaun Watson against Baltimore. Ultimately, I believe that this Baltimore defense super matches up with this Texans offense. I don't know if David Johnson's going to get it going. The lack of wide receiver with Will Fuller and Brandon Cooks and Kenny Stills and Randall Cobb and just the mess that they have going on there. Will Fuller is the clear number one, but I think that Marcus Peters and Marlon Humphrey match up super well with this group. And honestly, I don't see the offensive line doing anything against this Ravens defensive front. I like Patrick Queen as an eraser of David Johnson in the passing game. I just think it's going to be an overall struggle for this Texans offense this week, and I think Deshaun Watson pays for it.
I think Deshaun Watson has a good week, but yeah, I haven't moved down my ranks as well. For me, my biggest dud of the week is Hunter Henry. Hunter Henry has been everyone assumes he's locked in to be productive every week, especially with Tyrod Taylor, who loves the tight end position. But I think this week is not going to be it. I think Tyrann Mathieu and this Chiefs defense can really kind of take him out of the game and force Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, which those guys are talented enough to beat him. But I don't think that they're able to get it done. Austin Eckler, I think, has a big week as a result of the absence of Hunter Henry, or the result of Hunter Henry's production not being there. So that's my dud of the week. I just think that he has gotten hyped up a lot, and I don't think it happens because I don't think he gets in the end zone today.
No, I don't think so either. I like the Chargers offense a lot. It's just the fact that it's Tyrod Taylor running it that makes me really hesitant to play a lot of the pieces. If they're going to have to score today, so we'll see if this offense can put up points when they absolutely need to. Let's move into sleepers, and then we'll take the last few questions before we kind of get into the final bits of this. One bit of information here real quick, or one bit of news, I should say. Tyron Smith is officially inactive today for the Cowboys. So looking at your Falcons pass rushers, are you worried about – does that change anything for you this week, Gage? I don't think Gage heard me, so I'm just going to keep my –
I think both those offenses are still going to score. What? I heard you. What?
Okay. I wasn't sure.
No, you're still starting everybody. You're still starting all your Falcons. Starting all your Falcons, starting all your Cowboys. Done. There you go.
All right. Let's move into sleepers of the week then.
The only one you might not start is CeeDee Lamb and Russell Gage because of deep. That's it.
All right. Why don't you start with your sleeper of the week, Gage? We already talked about it a little bit earlier.
I would have said Baker Mayfield. If we had done this on Wednesday or Thursday morning, I would have said Baker Mayfield. I thought that people were really down on Baker because he's not lived up to what he was in year one. But my big sleeper of the week now, Justin Jefferson. So Justin Jefferson didn't get a ton of work in week one, but the little bit that he did get, he was successful with it. And the area of the field that he works in is the underneath area. Because if anybody doesn't know, the Colts love to give that up. They will die by 1,000 cuts all day long because Matt Eberflus is willing to let everything come in front of him and let everything come in front of that defense. So Jefferson may not put up a high yardage total today, but I think he could do like the Jamison Crowder, which is catch 10 balls for 50 yards and then he breaks one for a touchdown. So Justin Jefferson's my big sleeper this week. I think I got him in a couple DFS lineups. I got him started in a couple really deep leagues. I really like him a lot this week.
I think he could have a good day too. I mean, that Indy defense is the typical cover 2 defense that really kind of made its name in the mid 2000s with the Buccaneers. It's kind of lived on since then through the various coaches and such. But that cover 2 defense does do that. It allows for a lot of underneath plays and it makes the defenders come up to make plays. So if Jefferson can capitalize on taking the receptions and making a guy maybe one or two guys miss, then he should be able to put together a couple of nice strings and honestly have a nice day today. So for me, I'm staying in the same game, but I'm going to the other side of the field. I'm going for Paris Campbell against this porous Vikings pass defense. We saw what Aaron Rodgers did to it last week with a lesser wide receiving core and a worse offensive line. So Phillip Rivers should be able to distribute the ball effectively this week. I like T.Y. Hilton, but I think I like Paris Campbell more. He got volume last week. I think that T.Y. Hilton's kind of I'm gonna reference it to Larry Fitzgerald in the way of he's still going to be around. He's still going to be usable in some formats, but this is the year where the younger guys start to take over, and the veteran is just kind of there for the security blanket. I think T.Y. Hilton's still a very good option this year, but I really like Paris Campbell this week. I think that he can kind of have his way against some of these Vikings corners, which we saw was not that hard. So maybe, without the scramble drill that Aaron Rodgers puts on, there won't be as much production, but I still believe there's going to be a lot of production from this Colts offense.
I like Paris Campbell a lot this week as well.
Yeah, and I think this is the week where you can really start to play some of these young guys, because while we talked about you don't want to play guys based on pure upside, there are times when you can look at a matchup and say this is a matchup where they need to perform. If they don't, then we need to have a serious discussion about that player moving forward. So we have a couple more questions.
Yeah.
So let's take Paul Alexander's question. I'm assuming this is going to be a 1 QB league, but if it's a 1 QB league, I am starting.
It is
Roethlisberger. I believe, yes. I'm starting Roethlisberger.
I'm starting Ben as well. Yeah, I'm starting Ben as well. Like I said earlier, I like Trubisky this week. I think that he's going to outperform expectations, just because the place that you exploit the Giants is you exploit them on the outside at the corner position, and then you exploit their linebackers. So if Nagy's smart, he gets Trubisky on the move a little bit, gets him running, and uses his athleticism. Ben's still the guy. I think that Denver's defense has been hit really hard with injuries between A.J. Bouye and Von Miller and whatnot. So I think Ben's still the guy. Trubisky's not far behind for me. Also, a quick update. Devontae Parker is officially active for this week. That was announced about 2 minutes ago. So So for those of you that had Parker and you were like, I'm going to play him if he plays, he is officially active. You can get him up there. Let's take this question.
So is James Conner.
James Conner is officially active as well?
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. All right, next we got Deshaun Watson or Tom Brady. Tyler, what are you doing with this one?
I'm still going Watson here. It's close, though. It really is close. It's a good question. Thanks, Todd. Because I do think that Watson struggles this week, but the rushing floor that he provides kind of levels that out for him with Brady. But I do think that Carolina game can get out of hand quickly, and there could be a lot of points, even without Godwin for Tampa Bay. I'm still going Watson here, but I don't hate Brady either. So I think you just go with your gut on this one, but I think it's a small edge to Watson.
I'm going with Watson as well. I like Watson. I think he's a supremely talented player. I love his rushing upside. Now, let me change the question a little bit. Obviously, this is just a hypothetical. What if Chris Godwin was active today?
Then it would probably be Brady, hands down.
Okay. I was curious if that was going to be the make or break or not. But yeah, it's Watson for both of us. I have Watson as I think QB 8, and then Brady I think is QB 12 for me.
We should touch on Scotty Miller real quick because I think
Todd's next question. He's got Miles.
I was going to say Scotty Miller.
Okay, we can touch on Scotty Miller.
He's definitely a viable option in some of these deeper formats. I don't know if you're going to play him in anything more than a 12 team, but Scotty Miller in a half point PPR in maybe a 12 team, like I think you'd be okay doing that as well.
I agree. I have Scotty Miller going in DFS lineups today. I don't have him in season long just because I didn't make that investment in him. But I do love him. Any week that Chris Godwin's out, someone's going to have to soak up those targets. Well, the tight ends are interesting. OJ Howard, Gronk maybe has some work this week. Scotty Miller is definitely a guy that in 12-team leagues, I would feel comfortable starting him. I don't know that he takes on the full Godwin workload just because Chris Godwin's a supremely talented player. Scotty Miller's good, but he's not Chris Godwin. Scotty Miller's good value this week if you're playing DFS or if you need him in a 12-team league because you are the Godwin owner. Definitely could do much worse than Scotty Miller as your replacement.
I couldn't agree more. So moving on, Sanders or Hollywood Brown PPR. I'm assuming this is Emmanuel Sanders. I think I'm going Hollywood Brown here, but it's really close. I don't know if Sanders. I don't think he absorbs that much of the Michael Thomas workload. I think most of that will go to Alvin Kamara, and then maybe Jared Cook. but I'm not looking at Emmanuel Sanders and being too excited about playing him this week.
Yeah, it's Hollywood Brown for me as well. Hollywood Brown, big plays. Love him with Lamar Jackson. I think he's going to put on a show again. He had 6 for 101 last week. Manny Sanders, I like him, but what I think is going to happen with Michael Thomas out is I think we're going to see Alvin Kamara's workload go up. Thank you. I only own him in a number of leagues this year, so I love Hollywood Brown this week. I love him just moving forward in general. So he's who I would go with. Now, what if this is Miles Sanders? Yeah, okay. Actually, no. Todd said it is Manny Sanders. So yeah, Hollywood Brown for both of us.
All right, and then final question. I'm assuming from Jamie. Don't worry. By the way, no reason to stress. Don't overthink these things. But Kupp or MVS? It's Kupp all day.
Kupp all day. Kupp gets volume. I think Kupp gets into the end zone this week. He didn't last week. I think he does this week. Last week, Robert Woods was the guy that caught a few balls and broke them for big plays. I think Kupp can do that this week. This Philly secondary is nothing to write home about. Darius Slay doesn't travel into the slot, so you don't have to worry about him following Kupp there. So it's Kupp for me over MVS. Although MVS is fun, Kupp's still the guy you're going with because he's that team's wide receiver 1. And if you want to say it's Robert Woods, whatever, but they're basically interchangeable.
Well, do you think Robert Woods gets the Darius Slay treatment? I know Slay typically doesn't travel, but if they can erase Robert Woods and then use some of their other coverage techniques to kind of eliminate Kupp, you think that might be the path?
I mean, I think that so Slay travels. He just doesn't travel to the slot. So if Woods is the one that's working outside, which he does a lot, then yeah, he'll probably get the Slay treatment. But at the same time, the other corners outside of Slay don't scare me at all. Like Avonte Maddox has gotten worked over by receivers nonstop. Cooper Kupp, super talented, just got an extension. I think that he's going to get a heavy workload today. I think because again, this goes back to where I had Jared Goff as a top 5 option this week. I think he outperforms. I think he outperformed his expectations because Goff has to throw so much. So yeah, I'm confident in Kupp this week.
Very, very confident in Cooper Kupp this week as well. So I think with that will be our cue to sign off. Again, thank you for everybody in the chat that kind of tuned in today and provided questions. The questions are what makes this show. So tell your friends, tell everybody you know about this, because honestly, the more questions we have, maybe we can extend the live stream and answer more questions. Honestly, if we have the time, I'm going to give it to you to answer your questions because I want to be able to help you with your lineups. So with that being said, Gage, do you have any final notes for today?
Start Scotty Miller, start Corey Davis, start your stud, start Jordan Reed if you got him. There's a lot of fantasy goodness today. Watch just like I understand that we're like a mainly Packers centered thing. Like I'm wearing a Packers shirt, you got a Packers jersey on, but there's a lot of good games to watch today. Make sure that you got multiple screens going. Enjoy the football while we have it. And we're heading into week 2. No COVID cases last week. Hopefully none this week. So enjoy the football. And Tyler, I'll see you next week.
Yeah. You'll catch us throughout the week on Twitter. Our Twitter handles are there underneath our pictures. So go check us out. Ask us questions. We're available all week. Kyle wanted to make an appearance. Thank you, Kyle, for putting on a great show today. So we are going to sign off, though. So as always, carry the G and go Pack Go.